I think I will remember that icy wind that's howling in your eyes. You will see me in your time, in the wasteland of your mind. When the night goes falling, when the night goes falling, when the night goes falling from the sky. Oh, yeah. When the night comes falling, when the night comes falling, when the night comes falling from the sky.
All right, good morning, everybody. Greetings and salutations. It's Larsen Live on March 16th, 2024. Excuse me not being here last week. Me and my wife were going on a little road trip for her birthday. It was pretty good. Much fun was had by all. So, I'm sorry that I can't provide you a stream. I had that unfortunate real life thing that, gets in the way. Oh, yes, it is St. Patrick's Day, says Biff Slamkovich. He listened to Glenn Hanser this morning, great singer-musician. Yeah, so, I guess technically St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow. I still could have played some Celtic Thunder or something, but I didn't. Yeah, I also could have played the Dropkick Murphys like every Boston Irish douchebag in the world, but I didn't. Instead, I played the Jeff Healey Band. What does that have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. Nor does it have anything to do with the global catastrophe that the title of the stream refers to. We'll get to that when we get to the pop culture side of things. Anyway, let's just get right to the news and the insanity that is around us all day, every day. First off, I also have a series of stories that are from last week and this week because, vacation. The New York Post, referring to the ongoing shoplifting crisis in this country. The New York Post reports that a Washington Post reporter says that shoplifting it's not a big deal because America is built on stolen land, so therefore we can just steal everything, I guess. Yeah, makes sense to me. I'm sorry. Where exactly is this like magical land that didn't have people fighting over it at some point? Like where is this magical land where people are just spraying from the earth like daisies? Because apparently, wherever that magical place is, that's the only place in the world that has the legitimacy to not have law. I'm sorry, that has the legitimacy to have law and order. Everybody else, we can just steal things at will because colonialism. I'm genuinely curious as to whether these people are in fact aware that the United States is not the only country to be built by conquest, or if they just choose to ignore it. These are also people who go like, "Oh my God, Japan is so much better than America. Look at like the clean subways and that you can walk around and unlock your doors, hurdy-dur." As if Japan is also not built on stolen land. So I guess we could just go there and start shoplifting and screaming brat brap noises and terrorizing people on the subway because it's all colonialism. The goddamn Yamato colonized the Ainu, and therefore they're bad. Yeah, people just keep shoplifting, and nobody seems to have any idea of how to stop it. We're not allowed to stop it, as a matter of fact. And people wonder why Walgreens is closing down and Whole Foods shut down in San Francisco. And, you can't buy toothpaste without having to go through a goddamn set of lock and keys. Oh, Larson, but like the poor innocent brappies, they're just trying to feed their families and clean their families' teeth. No, they're not. No. They're selling it on the black market. They're selling it on the street, selling Tide Pods and toothpaste and such. These people do not have oral hygiene or moral hygiene or any hygiene. Looking at some comments here. Pony Throat refers to Akira Toriyama, which we'll get to later on. Ian Kempster is happy he made it. Hey, he also says, good morning. Pony Throat says, real life. I haven't heard of that server. Yeah, real life sucks. Ian Kempster says, thank God it wasn't you too. Yes, thank God for that. I will give you two some slack because when Homer Simpson showed up to the concert pretending to be the potato delivery man, they cut him some slack. And I do respect that. Ian Kempster also says that Antarctica is the only non-stolen land. Well, I mean, that might not be true if the conspiracy theorists are right and that New Schwabenland has Nazi UFOs on it. But we'll have to check that out. And of course, if the other conspiracy theorists are right, Antarctica is fake and gay. It is lies. Antarctica is the ice wall, and beyond the ice wall, there's the magical land of hobbits and fairies and cyclopses and such. Yes, I do enjoy making fun of the flat earth people very much. Rick says he's having corned beef and cabbage on bread and Irish butter. I have some Kerrygold butter in my fridge, sir. Although, I do have to ask why you're eating corned beef and cabbage at noon. I mean, I only ate breakfast about an hour and a half ago. I'm not eating lunch. Ponythroat says, Australia is built on stolen land. It was originally occupied by Australian pygmies. The Aborigines not even at the last of them until after the Europeans arrived. I did not know that, sir. Interesting. And yes, I have been lectured about stealing land by Australians. The irony was palpable, and it was not lost on me. But yeah, shoplifting goes on unabated. And, these people are not shoplifting food. Dare I say, the average shoplifter is not Aladdin or Jean Valjean trying to feed himself. And I say this as somebody who has, in the past, shoplifted to feed himself. I mean, those days are long by me, and stealing Tide Pods is not necessary to live, sir. Rick says it's noon where I am. Indeed. Biff Slankovich says, me eat C and B later. Good to know. Ponythroat says other non-stolen lands include Iceland and the Falklands, which are completely empty until Vikings and the British arrived. I'll take your word for it. Yeah, the whole anti-colonialist thing kind of falls apart if you poke it with a stick a little bit. Like, there's this ongoing trend to argue that, like, Iberians, Spanish and Portuguese people are people of color, which they're not, but let's assume that they are for a second. The majority of the depopulating of the Americas was done by the Iberian colonizers long before any pasty Anglos showed up. So, if that is the case, then therefore, people of color slaughtered the Native Americans and brought the slaves, not white people. But that's a minefield everybody just chooses to ignore. Ian Kempster says a certain marginalized community shoplifts rampantly and wonders why places like Walmart up sticks and move out of those neighborhoods. Yes, the food deserts seem to follow places where people rampantly shoplift. It's a mystery. Big box stores also mysteriously leave places where homeless derelicts shit on the street and fart out crack babies on the sidewalk. Again, a complete mystery. Rick says, according to the SCP Foundation, humans stole everything from Bigfoot. Yes, they did. And according to crackpot pseudo-anthropologist Danny Vendramini, all human, fears of monsters and such are sort of racial memories of the evil Neanderthalers, who were sort of like intelligent gorilla men who killed Cro-Magnon men and raped Cro-Magnon women. And that's totally not a concept he ripped off wholesale from an early Robert Howard short story. But moving on. What else do we have going on here? Hey, remember a couple weeks ago when that Aaron Bushnell guy, I almost said Nolan Bushnell, lit himself on fire in support of Palestine? Well, apparently that's mostly forgotten already, but his fellow comrades, and I use the term comrade deliberately, are mad at him because they said that his death is problematic because lighting yourself on fire is actually Southeast Asian cultural appropriation. Because you see, a Buddhist monk lit himself on fire to protest the South Vietnamese persecution of Buddhists back in the 60s. And it is very bad that this evil white man did the same to protest something he, was against. Dare I say, this is the apotheosis of, far left identity politics. A man lights himself on fire for a cause. You can argue whether or not it's the right cause, but, he had his convictions, and I respect that. And people are just yelling at him and pissing on his grave because, the white man can't light himself on fire. How dare he? Anyway, yeah, it's amazing how everybody just forgot about that in like 2 weeks. And yes, I would like to reiterate that I did almost refer to him as Nolan Bushnell. No, Retro Gamers, the founder of the Atari Corporation, did not light himself on fire for some whacked out cause. Ian Kempster says Bigfoot doesn't exist. I agree, but some people would argue with you. And by the way, Ian Kempster, for those of you not aware, the SCP Foundation is an internet, I guess you call it a work of fiction. The idea is that it's basically a wiki of, paranormal entities and phenomenon. And the SCP Foundation is a fictional organization that seeks to contain and regulate said paranormal entities and phenomena. It's pretty interesting. Although it did kind of go swing like far left, shit libery in recent years. Like, for example, they used to have an SCP I thought was pretty cool. It was called like the Chronicle of the Devas, Daeva, where it was a history book about some kind of like bloodthirsty like barbarian civilization that was wiped out in the ancient times. But then every time you spill ink or blood or some kind of writing medium on it, it fills in more history, and then it fills in at a later date. So at first it was like they were wiped out in the ancient times, and they were wiped out in the medieval times, and they were wiped out in like the early Renaissance times. And presumably if you fill in enough of it, they will exist in the modern times, and then shit's going to be bad. I think it's a pretty interesting idea for like a horror concept. But then like the new version of it is like, oh well, actually it's like some, Orientalist, English colonizer. He demonized these, innocent people. And like the thing is, it's actually about colonialism, actually. Yeah, you just made that story completely lame and uncool. Ponythroat asks, how are things going on in Haiti? Not good. Yeah, it's really not good there. We're going to get to that later on. Ponythroat also says, it's also bad that the 70-year-old monk didn't even blink while he was burning, but Bushnell screamed a lot. Well, you see, the monk has practiced for many, many decades on how to focus and shut out the pain. Aaron Bushnell did not. And once again, I almost said Nolan Bushnell. It's very difficult for me to not do that. So yeah, speaking of Haiti, how is Haiti doing? It's not good. Shit sucks in Haiti. Yeah, so much so that Mr. Barbecue Man is basically calling the shots there. Yes, there is a gentleman named Barbecue something or other. He is basically a gang lord, and he is eating people. The United States is evacuating all personnel from the embassy. Dare I say, cannibals should not be eating people on the streets. This is not good. And then yes, coincidentally, I have seen articles saying, well, actually, it's not that bad to eat human beings. It is in fact that bad. It's not good to eat human beings. It's really not good. Of course, they're going to blame France and America for this situation because, well, I mean, America briefly did occupy Haiti in the early 19 teens. Even though that occupation ended 90 years ago, somehow it's still our fault. And it's also France's fault. Yeah, like General Rochambeau was like literally still commanding things from beyond the grave. Yes, James Cherizier, Monsieur Barbecue, issues a warning to the world. Please stay out of Haiti. Yes, I'm going to listen to you, sir. The Guardian asks, is the feared gang boss Barbecue now the most powerful man in Haiti? Perhaps he is. Why don't we just kick back and just let it work itself out for a bit? You know, dare I say, some people should just be left to mind their own business. In fact, all people should be left to mind their own business. We need some more diversity of cuisine in the world. So, yeah, go at it, boy. Okay. Pony Throat, referring to the Chronicle of the Divas, says that this SCP details how the barbarian civilization got kicked out of 108 periods of history. I think it was more like 5. I'm going to look this one up. Here I go, looking up the SCP Foundation. Uh, bu- 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 Can't find it. I'm going to look this up briefly longer, and if it doesn't come up, then I'll move on. But I think I found it. Okay. Yeah, so SCP-140 is a history book titled The Chronicle of the Divas. Or is it Deva? I know very little about Zoroastrianism. So anyway, The Chronicle of the Divas. The book gives a detailed account of the ancient civilization of the Devites, a gruesome militaristic race wanting to conquer the world. More information appears inside it if you put writing fluid on it. The book retroactively becomes true, altering history to include the new information. Yes. But then SCP-6140 says that some evil Reginald Van Twattenshire made them sound bad because colonialists are evil. Oh, I see. 6140 says the entire Devite Empire was a creation of the book, which was written by a racist Victorian anthropologist because he couldn't accept that the nation of Devastan was a fully functioning matriarchy. The history written in the book was then imposed upon reality in replacement of the real empire. And Larsen decides to stick a shotgun in his mouth. No, it was just the racist Victorians. They couldn't handle the truth of like the peaceful, benevolent matriarchy. Well, you made that story really uninteresting. Okay. Pony Throat says, I would vote for President Barbecue before voting for Ted Cruz. Yeah, it's probably true. I mean, there's a lot of American politicians who seem like barely closeted sociopaths. At least, Monsieur Chevizier is honest about it. Pony Throat then says, in regards to the Chronicles of the Divas, referring to the other ethnic group, got kicked out, so I never do anything wrong. Yes, indeed. Yes, the SCP Foundation went much like Cracked.com in that it became taken over by a bunch of ladies wearing problem glasses. Anyway, speaking of the North American continent, let's leave America for a second, and also Haiti. I guess it's more of the Caribbean. But yeah, let's go up to Canada. In Canada, uh, Six Buzz TV. I don't know if that's a valid source, but nonetheless, they say report: Canada is no longer one of the richest countries in the world. I mean, I know the feeling. I too live in a country that used to have the highest standard of living in the world, but then was deliberately subverted to be a shithole. Yes, dare I say, much like the ruling class in America, the ruling class in Canada was probably celebrating that their people are having a shittier standard of living. I can just imagine Justin Trudeau putting on his parachute pants and, breaking it down, Hammer Time style. Yes, British families are also suffering a decline in living standards, as are American families. It's, it's, dare I say, this is not an accident. Dare I say, the people running our countries all hate us and they want us to suffer. Hey, Ponythroat says the SCP was taken over by DeviantArt users after it got popular. Yes, it is. I mean, I would assume. I never really contributed to the SCP Foundation, so I don't know anything about what happened backstage. I just read it once in a while. Then I noticed like it became just really dweeby and like left wing all of a sudden. Not even like like as I've said, I do have some leftist sympathies with regards to labor, but this is like that weesh like hippy dippy shit that I hate. Rick says, "Ha." The screen showed angry, Hank Mosgus right as Larson got annoyed. I don't really plan that since there was a 10-second delay. It just kind of comes as it goes, and sometimes it works out. Ian Kempster says the Liberal government spends money and taxes the living shit out of us Canadians. Yeah, I mean, I can't really judge since it's not like America's any better. And yes, I did read a Twitter thread this morning about how in some places there's more administrators in the school system than there are actual teachers. And that's where all the money goes for public schooling. Is useless sinecure jobs for, idiot fail sons who barely graduated college and would be, cleaning out toilets if they didn't come from a well-to-do family. But speaking of Canada, something very bitterly amusing happened. In Vancouver, there was a plot of land in the city that was given back to the Squamish people, the indigenous people of the area. The Squamish people then announced that they're going to build some luxury high-rises and make bank off of it. People were upset about this because, Vancouverites are like, it's like, oh, like this does not embody my, indigeneity like idea. Yes. Okay. In 2022, City Councilor Colleen Hardwick said of the project, "How can you reconcile indigenous ways of being with 18-story high-rises?" Colleen Hardwick is not, in fact, Native American at all. I don't know what these people expected. They live in a very large, well-to-do city, and I guess they were just expecting that they would just, build huts and like track buffalo for the rest of their lives in 2024. No, man, it's just no. You can't be Native American unless you live in a very specific way. Me, you know. Dare I say that most people wouldn't really be down with living in a Stone Age society. I mean, I might, but most people wouldn't. Most people most people might like to rent Stone Age life for a day or two, but they don't want to live it all the time. And this also might make them a lot of money, and they're against that. Almost as if they want First Nations people to be poor and downtrodden. That would be ridiculous. Hey, let's check out the comments here. Pony Throat says, to better fit liberals' idea of First Nations people, they should have built a casino instead. I don't know what the law is like in Canada. I mean, obviously in America, like Indian reservations are these sort of semi-autonomous enclaves, so they can build casinos and have duty-free cigarettes, and depending on where it is, they can actually make a good amount of money on like mineral rights and mining and stuff. Which, I mean, I'm going to assume Canada's kind of similar, but I don't know. But I do find it funny that like these are the people who will loudly insist, as as the day is long, like, nah, man, the noble savage ideas, like that's racist, that's colonialist. Then they literally demand that everybody follow some, you know, hippy dippy noble savage ideal of what they think they should be like. The second that they don't, do what they want. But actually, speaking of Vancouver and the Squamish people, and I did mention this on the stream a long time ago. These like land acknowledgments are really funny to me because it's just typical corporate douchebaggery, but with a thin veneer of shitlib stuff on top of it. Like Eastern Mountain Sports. Wait, no, I'm sorry, REI. When they were lecturing their wages, it was like, yes, hello, we're REI. Our corporate headquarters is on the former land of the Coast Salish people, and this is why you should never form a union and demand higher wages. Okay, that says it best. Yes, I didn't. I was in Vancouver once. It seemed all right. A lot of Chinese people, but you know, kind of what I expected. Apparently, I also have an uncle or some such in Vancouver who I've never met. But yeah, it didn't seem that bad to me. But I'm not going to pretend like I know that much about Canadian politics. I mean, I guess I just don't have it in me to smugly read other countries' politics and then judge them for it like everybody does with my country. That's a whole different issue. Anyway, speaking of the pathetic remnants of the Anglosphere, from the Daily Mail and Old Blighty, the council fines a roofer 300 British pounds for having empty crisp packets and sandwich wrappers in his van. He doesn't have a license to carry rubbish. The man had a bag of garbage from his lunch and he got. Oi, mate, you got a license to carry garbage? Jesus Christ, fucking people. I'm sorry, like, if there was ever precedent to throw a ticket in somebody's face and tell them this law is unjust, now's the time. I mean, as somebody who did roofing very briefly in his life, it lasted about 2 months there. This is a grave, grave injustice. Jeez, I mean, say what you will about America. At least we don't fine people for having garbage. The UK is a silly place, and the rest of the Anglosphere is not really better off, to be honest. I'm sorry, like, 300 pounds for this shit? Like, this, the the punishment should not have been anything beyond forcing him to like throw it out in a garbage can, which I'm pretty sure he would have done considering he wasn't throwing it out on the street. He had it in his car or his truck or whatever, his van, and like that apparently that's too far for, Bobo the douche, cop or whatever. Yes, the UK is a silly place. But yeah, speaking of the UK, let's go to the old Commonwealth. Let's see how colonialism worked out for their former territories. And I'm sure some of you know where I'm going with this. A vlog couple from Portugal, I believe, they're trying to visit every country in the world. They decided to go to India. Within 11 hours, they were in the hospital. The man was beaten up, and she was gang raped by 7 men. That's. Oi. Yes, they're both pretty bruised up in the picture. I hate to say it, but, like, has any country had, like, a bigger PR fall in the last 20 years than India? Like, I mean, it went from, like, the proud warrior races and, Indian clubs and yoga and sitars to just gang rape and poop. It's, I'm not gonna pretend like America's, has a sterling reputation this day and age, but at least we're not there. Okay. Shinseki Evans says, UK cops are the biggest cowards. I don't know. I mean, American cops are pretty big pussies for the most part. Like, we all remember that video of, like, a guy on the beach during COVID having to be surrounded by 10 cops. Because, arresting an unarmed fat guy on the beach was, too difficult for one guy to do. Like, I can understand having one cop as backup. Because, I think that's just safety. But, like, 10, if you need more than one guy backing you up, you are a pussy. And you should be treated as such. Ian Kempster says, I'm holding on to the image of what America was and could be again. God bless America. Yeah, I cling to that image myself, sir. It keeps me going in dark times. I've said this before, but in 1991, the Soviet Union fell. America was the sole superpower in the world. The world genuinely had a positive image of America. And, anyone with the slightest bit of competence in statecraft could have kept the situation going for like another 100 years. Another 100 years of peace and prosperity. The fact that we blew it in like not even 30 years. I'm sorry, this is beyond incompetence. I think this is deliberate malfeasance. I don't know who, I don't know why, but it's like you have to try to fuck up that bad. Ponythroat says it was obviously done because they cannot stick him with what they originally wanted to accuse him of. Now do want an American civil forfeiture. I don't know what that is. I'm going to look it up. Okay, civil forfeiture, Wex, U.S. law. Oh, it's like asset forfeiture. Yeah, you can. Oh, so in other words, you can accuse somebody of a crime and just take his shit. Yes, I was curious as to why Crockett and Tubbs were driving really nice cars and wearing really nice suits in every episode. That's why. No, seriously, that's literally why. The people who made Miami Vice use civil asset forfeiture as an excuse for the boys to, like, dress well and have nice cars. Rick says, if I visited the UK, I wouldn't last a day before being prosecuted by the Pink Floyd judge. Yeah, I don't think I would either. I mean, it's on our little road trip me and my wife took, I got ticketed by some Dudley douchebag cop, and it took everything in my body to not, like, just throw the ticket out and like not pay it. Of course, I paid it. I'm buck broken by the system. Pony throat referring to the Portuguese travel couple. They had previously visited Iran, Syria, and Taliban. Taliban ruled Afghanistan, and they were completely unmolested. Weird. Yes, I'm curious as to how that happened. Like I said, no country has had a bigger fall from grace in the PR realm than India, and I stand by that. Like in the 60s and 70s, the counterculture loved India and they promoted it. Now it's just poop and garbage street food and rape. It's not good. Okay, moving on from that. Let me see what we got here. I think I got something kind of interesting here. Oh, yes. Let's go back to the UK, such as it is. From the Daily Mail, a Cambridge University fellow sparks another race row after claiming black people would only be famous for sports entertainment and a meritocracy, and Harvard would have no black professors. Nathan Kofnis is a Leverhulme Trust Research Fellow at the Manual College. He's a Cambridge man. He says in a pure meritocracy, it would be close to zero, BIPOC representation. I don't think it would be zero, but I think it would be less. I mean, there are certainly mediocrities that exist in the world, but give me 1 second. I just got a text message. But I can't help but feel like everybody kind of secretly knows this. Everybody just kind of dances around it because society would kind of collapse if we didn't. Well, it's good to see that some, Britbongs still have that mad dog spirit in them. Rick says, "Oh, you got a license for that Hanlon's razor?" No, I don't think they do, actually. Ponythroat says, civil asset forfeiture. Cops' right to take any significant amount of money found in vehicles. They could be involved in crime, aka robbery. Well, yes, I guess you shouldn't be carrying cash in your car. Shinseki Evans says, India and Pakistan have a rape culture. Awful place to be a woman. Yes, it is. I mean, I don't even think Pakistan's as bad as India in that regard. I mean, all these stories I see come out of India, not Pakistan. Okay. But let's move on. Going to the media side of things. Okay, that just got deleted. Let me see if I can find it quickly. And if not, we'll move on to something else. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, I remember it now. Yeah, speaking of, we're going to leave political and socioeconomic news aside. We have some issues with retirement and Social Security. Ben Shapiro, pause for laughter, says that, personally, I don't think anybody should retire. Nobody should pay into Social Security. You shouldn't retire unless you have, like, some kind of health issue. And you wonder why I've never voted Republican. It's shit like this. It's like, oh, nobody should retire. You should just work until you drop dead, wagie. That's what it's got to be. Well, I'm sure that Ben Shapiro can work until he drops dead. I mean, he's literally never worked a real job in his life. His dad got him a WorldNet Daily column when he was 19. And he's been creating content and stupid crap for his entire life. But, some people work real jobs that are physically exhausting, and they literally can't work until they're 70, 80, 90 years old. A lot of these, what they call the Con Inc. conservatives, Conservative Incorporated, they really do just want, indentured servants and slaves. That's really what they want when you get down to it. They want people just working until they drop dead. They don't want anybody tired. They don't want anybody to, have anything in their lives outside of just working. Just be a cog in the machine, wagie. Just work forever. Just, retire when you're 75 or 80 years old. Don't get pensions. Don't spend any time with the grandbabies or do anything you want in life. We should also increase the hours worked per week, too. Yes, thank you, Reagan. Oh, by the way, fun fact. It's been averaged out that your average slave in the antebellum South worked about 60 hours a week. There's quite a few people nowadays who work more than that. I know this is technically I guess you could call it a pop culture thing, but this kind of illustrates why I hate Republicans. Because of shit like this. Just work forever, wagey. Just work. I hate that man so much. Okay. Ponythroat says India is slightly more rapey. Biff Slankovich says yes. Move on. Ponythroat says nobody who works a real job says things like nobody should retire. It's the only promotion they'll ever get. Well said. And then people in the thread were like, well, actually people go crazy if they don't have a job. Yeah, I understand that. Nobody is saying old people shouldn't leave the house. Yes, you could do volunteer work or work a part-time job. My dad is retired, but he works a part-time job just to get out of the house, and that's fine. But this idea that you shouldn't have the choice is ridiculous. I mean, me, I teach my music lessons, and I love what I do. And even when I, years from now, when I retire, I'm still going to do that part-time just to keep busy. But this whole idea of you should never be able to retire. Yeah, serious question. Why has nobody punched Ben Shapiro in the face? I'm serious. Why? Why has nobody hit that man and hit him hard? I would punch him in the face if I saw him. Oh, Jeff Bezos. Rick says, I like how the Babylon Bee reported Ben harassing old folks' homes, telling them to get to work. Yes, there's a lot of weird elderly abuse going on with the right wing these days. And yeah, I'm sorry, Tom Selleck, you should not be selling those reverse mortgages to old people. Yes, hi, Grandma. Take this reverse mortgage so that when you die, your children will be left with nothing. It's not a good look, Magnum PI. Ponythroat said, no such person who ever said such things was also in favor of paying people worth shit. Indeed. I know I've discussed this too, but I don't have it in me to pay people slave wages. I really don't. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to make money, everybody wants to get rich. But if you gave me the choice of you can make $10 million paying people a fair wage, you can make $200 million, paying slave labor in Ivory Coast or whatever, I'm gonna take the $10 million. I'm sorry. I don't have it in me to do child labor or slave labor or prison contracting or anything like that. Ponythroat says you can't punch Ben Shapiro. Did you ever try hitting Odd Job in Goldeneye? Yes. I love how the rare developers somehow confused Odd Job with Knick-Knack. Odd Job is not a goddamn midget. Harold Sakata was 5'7". I mean, he wasn't particularly tall, but he's not Hervé Villachet, but apparently they didn't get that message, which is really strange considering that Rare is a British company and you'd think they would know James Bond shit if nothing else. And fine, I can't punch Ben Shapiro. I'll just front kick him instead. Back when I used to do kickboxing, I always love to do that teep kick. Just, someone comes forward at me, I just kind of kick him in the stomach. But with Ben Shapiro, I'd be kicking him in the eye because he's little tiny man. Yeah, just plant that heel right in his face. Make sure you kick with your heels, kids. Stretching is good. Stretching helps you. But yes, the little short people are always a pain in the ass in video games. Like, you ever play that video game Terror Drome, like Rise of the Boogeymen? Yeah, Chucky's a real pain in the ass to fight because he's short. But I digress. Anyway, what else do we have going on here? Let's see, something happened in San Francisco. San Francisco finally putting their foot down to some extent with the terrible nonsense that goes on. They're voting to do things like let the cops do their job and teach kids math on an equal basis. The SF Chronicle wrote a very stupid article. Voters make it clear San Francisco is not a progressive city. Yeah, so apparently, forcing the kids to like do schoolwork and letting the cops arrest criminals, that's not progressive. It's not progressive. It's like, how dare you, arrest criminals? How dare you demand standards from the children? You know, there's a huge untapped market in America for just normal people who, think normal, sensible things. Like, you've got like the far right wingers who are like, culture is gay, literature is gay, art is gay, like, music is, for fags. Like, you can't do anything good. Like, you just got to work and like bomb brown people. You got that on the right side. And the left wingers are like, we should just let criminals run free and like, not have any standards for, school and just, screaming derelicts throwing up on the street and jerking off on things like that. That's who we are. Like, why is nobody tapping into this huge, kind of sensible person demographic that's not being addressed? Am I gonna have to do it? I guess so. No, San Francisco used to be a beautiful city once. It's not. Hey, Rick says my lunch break is over. Need to get back to work later. Later to you too, sir. Why is there not anybody tapping into the normal, sensible person demographic? I don't know. But speaking of, conservatives and their hatred for the arts, let's talk about the arts. Going back to the UK, Cambridge University's Fitzwilliam Institute overhauls art displays with visitors informed that landscape images stir dark emotions. The British countryside can evoke dark nationalist feelings in paintings, warns the museum. God damn you, William Hogarth! Like, how dare you paint the bucolic, rural countryside? That's like that's white supremacy. Oi, mate, got a license to look at your paintings? I'm curious if that just applies to British landscape painting, or if that applies to American landscape painting as well. I mean, I'm gonna pull up some Hudson River School paintings right here, and oh man, this Thomas Cole painting is just make me want to go commit hate crimes. Yeah, fuck you, Frederick Edwin Church, and William Mount. You guys suck. Me, William Sidney Mount. Sorry. And yes, I know William Sidney Mount was technically a genre painter, not a landscape painter, but whatever. It was the first one that came to mind. Yeah, you know what we should do? We should just dig up William Hogarth and Frederick Remington and Thomas Cole and all these great landscape painters, and we should like hang them upside down and put them on trial. Because how dare they be nationalistic? I mean, the greatest artwork is just gigantic buttocks like splashed about. Yeah, it's like giant, like misshapen asses and walls of used condoms is, the apotheosis of art. Ponythroat says if the children know mathematics, they might be able to probably fraction while cutting fentanyl. They don't have to get the local authority to do it for them. Ah, yes, yes, that story too about the lady police chief who was spreading a lot of fentanyl about. I have my issues with William Hogarth, but I don't think he exhibits, dark and nationalist feelings. This might be just yet another permutation of like weirdo, extremely online shitlibs just hating nature. And I quote from Reddit: I start crying when I'm taken out of densely populated areas. I am a 19-year-old agender human. I lived in Manhattan my entire life. Since I was young, when I've been taken to rural areas, I've started crying. There's something about them that makes me really hate them. They feel so lonely. Whenever I'm there, I just get worried that I won't be able to leave, or sad because I know they exist. Now that I'm an adult, I just start crying or panicking when I'm there. It's, yeah, apparently taking children out of the cities and seeing nature is bad. Yeah, fuck you, Thomas Edison and the Fresh Air Fund. Me. Oh my god. How do these people like exist? Jeez, I never felt like I was, I'm not exactly Duke Nukem myself, but like I basically am compared to these weenies. Okay. Ponythroat says they need to edit the Carnage Rally guy into the corner of all those paintings. Uh, what the hell's a Carnage Rally? Okay, Carnage Rally is a racing vehicular combat. What the shit is this? Why is there some like Botox like femboy on the what? Jeez, I thought Urban Yeti was a bad Game Boy Advance game. Anyway, Ian Kempster says it should be an automatic sentence for selling fentanyl. Yes, I agree. I mean, I do have some ideas for how to reform the prison system. I mean, basically, there would be a lot of, fines, public flogging, and house arrest. But yeah, some things you need to be like BTFO'd in society. And yeah, fentanyl is one of them. It's okay. Before we get one last time, we can talk more about art before we go to the pop culture side of things. From the Hellenist, which is one of those weirdo, like far right wing Twitter accounts that talk a lot about Greek statues. And I quote: well shaped buttocks are signs of nobility, evidence of strong will and superior pedigree. Poorly shaped buttocks are signs of low status, indicators of weak will and slavish blood. Boy, it would be really nice if like online right wingers could, stop being like really gay for once in their lives. Like, not to just, I mean, I guess that does fit considering they're all LARPing as ancient Greeks, but like, are you gonna start like pulling out calipers and like measuring buttocks and stuff? It's hey guys, you're not a real man unless you like work out naked and compare butt cheeks. I'm an aristocrat of the soul. You gotta show your buttocks to other men. Meanwhile, in the distance, Nick Fuentes furiously beats off. The Hellenist. There's nothing wrong with liking men. I just want you to come out and admit it. It's not an aristocratic thing. You are just a homosexual, and that's okay. One second. Sorry, my lovely wife was putting a book on the shelf. It's like, I'm really am just imagining like Nick Fuentes and like the Hellenists and all these like right wing femboys like using like calipers and measuring each other's buttocks. It amuses me greatly. Oh, and let's not forget old Dickie Spencer. Homosexual identity is the implicit last stand of white identity. I don't think so, sir. And let's not forget BAP's like Man's World magazine, which literally has like you know beefcake men in little sailor suits and short shorts. Boy, why is the online right wingosphere really, really fruity? I don't know. Okay. Ponythroat agrees with me. That was an extremely gay thing to say. Yeah, it sure was. Marcus Aurelius definitely strutting around the forum in short shorts. Uh, well, you see, actually, Marcus Aurelius, he didn't wear his toga. He wore a tunic instead, and he, cut it short so he could show off his buttocks. It wasn't too long ago that some other right wingers were saying that like breasts are for aristocrats and butts are for the peasantry. I guess we've gone the other way, or I don't even know anymore. It is possible to have nice bosoms and nice buttocks. You don't have to choose one. You can have both. Okay, let's leave this weird esoteric crap behind, and we will now go to the pop culture section. So we come to the title story. Uh, yes, all of Latin America is in a public state of mourning. Why? Because mangaka Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, Doctor Slump, the character designer for Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest, he is dead. At the age of 68, he died of a cerebral hemorrhage. Man, first Kentaro Miura and now Akira Toriyama. Can we uh can we like promote like self-publication in the manga industry? Because way too many guys are like dropping dead during work. This doesn't have to happen. And when I say that Latin America is in public mourning, I'm not joking. Nayib Bukele, El Presidente of El Salvador, literally declared a public day of mourning for Akira Toriyama. Several television stations in Mexico are showing 24-hour marathons of Dragon Ball. For whatever reason, Spanish speaking countries just love them some Dragon Ball. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like it fine, but it's not like my favorite show. But overall, I would say that Akira Toriyama, like, much like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, could be said to have had a positive effect on the world. How many millions of men were inspired by superhero artists such as these to work out and get strong and be brave and stand up to bullies and those who oppress them? Probably a lot, including myself. Now, I grew up in the 90s, so there was a lot of like, macho, like fighting men in the pop culture. So I don't think Toriyama is my sole inspiration here. But yeah, he was definitely a part of it. So rest in peace, Toriyama-san. Rest in peace. I also considered opening up the stream with Rock the Dragon, but that song is hot garbage. It sounds like a 12-year-old wrote it. Ian Kempster says, I never understood the whole Dragon Ball thing after my time, I guess. I mean, let's be honest, it's not exactly the deepest narrative in the world. It was just a good old rollicking, punch fest of, super heroics and, black and white morality and good and evil. I mean, it's basically like you know, a show for older kids and teenagers, and it's fine for what it is. I mean, I think even Toriyama would tell you straight up that it's not like the deepest narrative in the world, but it's fine. It's fine for what it is. Okay. Ponythroat says, I have it on good authority that they edited breathing sound effects over Akira Toriyama's creation, so everybody knew he was not dead. Yeah, he was about to Kaioken out of that goddamn crematorium. Dave Stankovich says, Pence not to endorse Trump in 2024, just breaking. Perhaps it's something to do with wanting to hang him. What do you think? His brand of conservatism is not the same as his. Duh. Yes. Well, there certainly are many brands of conservatism. I mean, I do have some. I would say I do have a good amount of sympathy for the family values and tradition sort of conservatism. Maybe it's just because I've gotten older. I do have some sympathy for that, but I really have zero sympathy for like the everybody should be a slave working for slave labor, like Ben Shapiro kind of conservatism. Shinseki Evans says, I was inspired by Majin Buu instead. Yes. I mean, personally, I was inspired by that farmer in the first episode with the shotgun who gets BTFO'd by Raditz. Dragon Ball is, of course, as we discussed previously on the stream, Toriyama was very much influenced by American cartoons, in particular Popeye, and he has said so verbatim. And I did see some tribute art from the Fleischer cartoon Twitter account of Goku and Popeye, shaking hands and being, buds. Ian Kempster says, I work with a guy who still plays Pokemon, collects the cards, etc., and wonders why he can't get laid. Dare I say that, like, that shouldn't be that much of a problem as long as, like, I hope he's not opening up with that on dates. I mean, you can kind of keep your geeky habits, like, on the down low before you start telling, your significant other. I mean, it took a couple of months before I told my wife about the stream. Ponythroat says, a common symptom of cerebral hemorrhage is fading to the next dimension. Yes, the home for infinite losers. Ian Kempster says, Ninja Scroll the movie and Mad Bull was pretty cool. I've never seen Mad Bull 34, but I have seen Ninja Scroll, and I do like it a lot. But yes, my favorite manga of all time was Berserk, and Kentaro Miura is no longer with us. It's a shame. It's a shame to see, creative men who create great things, dying unexpectedly. Now, speaking of people who don't create great things, let's go to the video game industry. Okay, so first of all, there is a bit of an issue going on in the game industry about, Gamergate's back. So, so what happened was Sweet Baby Incorporated is some kind of ESG, like, council, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Consultancy. Sweet Baby Inc. is funded by Baby Ghosts. I don't know what that is, but Baby Ghost co-founder is Eileen Holoka. Eileen Holoka is the sister of Alec Holoka, the boyfriend of Zoe Quinn. Sweet Baby Inc.'s employees also include a Felix Kramer, who is one of the 5 guys that Zoe Quinn was, beating off to get good reviews for her crappy video game. Sweet Baby Inc. also was part of the, there was a Suicide Squad video game, which apparently sucked. And they were a consultant on that. And, Yeah, apparently Gamergate's back. The orcs went to the shadow for a little bit, but then now they're trying to come back. The they never they've wanted the game industry for years. They've already kind of crapped up movies and literature. Now they're coming for the video. People wonder why the AAA gaming industry is going down the shitter. If it hasn't happened already, there's going to be a massive exodus to retro and independent small studio gaming. I mean, I'm already fully there. I don't know if anybody else is. And bear in mind that like Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian went to the UN to complain about getting harassed on the internet. The United Nations. There's nothing. There's nothing more important than this. Oh, and apparently, Alec Holoka is the guy that Zoe Quinn literally drove to suicide. But Eileen Holoka is still, bending the knee to the ESG people. You gotta vote with your wallet, people. Stop buying the games made by people who hate you. Buy the old games. The old games are better anyway. But yeah, speaking of Anita Sarkeesian, she may have defeated Gamergate for the time being, but Anita Sarkeesian's losing pretty hard at life. She basically had a self-wedding the other day. She had a wedding-themed birthday party in Stockholm. She did not actually get married, but yeah, she turned 40 years old and had a fake wedding for herself. This might legitimately be the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry, why would anybody do this? Oh, and also in the Instagram post, she specified that there was a ring bear, not a ring bearer, a ring bear. Like it was like I'm assuming a trained bear like brought the ring to her. I mean, I really honestly just feel kind of sorry for her at this point. Like this is absolutely goddamn ridiculous. I mean, I think Movie Bob is still a single, so since he's a big Gamergate supporter, you could it's just a suggestion, but yeah, you might. And yes, I'm going to put up this image of Movie Bob marrying Anita Sarkeesian, photoshopped. Yeah, this is like I'm staring into like a full on like Lovecraftian like abyss here. This is horror beyond my comprehension. Like I'm sorry, ladies. Please for the love of God, don't do this. I know even though you insist you're a strong, independent woman, you still crave marriage, but this is really, really not a good look. Okay, we got some comments here, such as it is. Let's see what we got comment-wise. A lot of people were commenting as I was prattling on. Let's see what we got here. Okay, Shinseki Evans says, Toriyama loved American movies. He was crushed when Dragon Ball Evolution shit the bed so badly. Actually, yeah, it's funny because it's a shame because all the people involved in that movie actually really liked Dragon Ball. They wanted to make it good, but then the studio kind of ruined it. So the actor who played Goku and that was like, rest in peace, Toriyama. By the way, I'm really sorry about shitting up your movie. So, at least he was a good sport about it. Alpha Marigis says, did you read Tite Kubo's blog on Toriyama's death? I have no idea what that is. Ponythroat says, I used to work with a Rick and Morty fan. Oh, there's a bad sign already. Sorry. Who was in a relationship with a single mother of two. She convinced him to get a vasectomy while he worked 70 hours a week to support her and her kids. That is embarrassing. Alpha Mariga says between Miura and Toriyama, Kazuki Takeshi, the author of Yu-Gi-Oh, died. Well, that wasn't like working himself to death. Didn't he get eaten by a shark or something? Pony Throat says, my first comment on the stream was a reference to Tianjin Hunt see parachutes after Napa Loop of flying cars, part of the American dub conspiracy to pretend that nobody died in DBZ. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really that into it when I was a kid. I actually only watched it later, so I never watched like the shitty like dub version where everybody pretends like nobody died. Yeah, it's he's Mr. Satan. He will always be Mr. Satan. Shinseki Evans says, I stopped at the PS3. Fuck modern games. I also stopped at the PS3 and the Wii. So yeah, I'm right in your boat. There's like 3 games on the Switch I might want to play, and even those I'm kind of tepid about. We don't need to go over this again. Ian Kempster says they should do a Shinobi anime. Yes, they should. Okay. Biff Slankovich says, anybody watched Warrior, produced for Netflix? Yeah, I've seen a few episodes of Warrior. It's not bad. Genghis Tom says, I made the joke that Sarkeesian had her cats dress up like grooms for the event. You know, she probably did. Okay. Ponythroat says, she had a cope-themed self-wedding. I remember somebody editing Movie Bob as the groom. Yes, yeah, there he is. I mean, I don't even think Anita would want to date Movie Bob. Okay, Biff Slankovich says, I watched Don't Mess with the Zohan. Interesting commentary on what's going on in Gaza today. Yes, actually based on a true story, believe it or not. Ponythroat says, literally everybody there will be able to tell it's a cope. Shinseki Evans says, Nita looks 50. Yes, she does. She has not aged well. Ian Kempster says, I got a PS5 for the PGA Golf. Not going to lie, of all the games to play, like golf, I mean, me and my friends used to play Pangaea, which is like an online golf game, but like that had like weird, like, you know, different kind of courses and shit. Ponythroat says the FPS game Sin got an anime OVA. Yeah, so did Yeez actually, which is actually pretty decent. You know, I would ask why The Legend of Zelda's never gotten an anime, but you know, that might give Link a personality, and Aonuma really doesn't want that for some reason. But yeah, that does it for my prepared remarks. And if you want to say your last pieces, you can do so now. The world sucks, but our lives are at least doing pretty good. Say your last pieces now, please. Yeah, while you're saying that, I just realized that Movie Bob, much like the Spoony one, is also a loser internet commentator who has an older brother who actually made something of his life. Yeah, Movie Bob's brother, Chris. I don't know what he does exactly, but you know, he seems to be doing okay. He's got a wife, he's got kids, and I mean, he's certainly a much more functional human being than Bobo ever will be. I just hope that Bobo doesn't, you know, fill his nephew's head with like weird shamanic nonsense about the Super Mario Brothers franchise. Oh, who am I kidding? He's already doing that. The console wars were my private Vietnam, little Timmy. Ponyfoot says Golden Tee golf is the best golf. He uses a trackball, and trackballs are pog. Yes. Ian says, glad to hear I'm doing well. Thank you, sir. Shinseki Evans says, good show, Larson. Looking forward to the next Kung Fail video, says Ian Kempster. Yeah, I mean, you know, work is what it is. But, you know, when I can, I'm going to make new videos. I got some ideas for Kung Fail and also School Suck. Ponythroat asked, did his Borther write a book? Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Chris Chipman, like, doesn't he, like, claim to be a filmmaker or something? I mean, whatever he does, he makes enough money to, not live in a filthy basement apartment with like a leaky septic tank like Bob does. So whatever it is that he does for a living, it's more successful than Bobby. All right, gentlemen, say your last pieces. Okay, doesn't seem like anybody has anything else to say.